Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's the conclusion of today's episode of Roll20 Presents The Burning Wheel. So, big spoopy smash cut to the break. Meanwhile, the witch Agatha, who has made herself at home in this poor Hiri's house. What is up?
Well, I think I'm going to negotiate the terms of my stay
Okay.
here.
Yeah, right, because you just barged in and haven't really, like, she's just like, speaker. And kind of like looks like she doesn't know what to say because she's obviously, the soldiers are looking for you, speaker, but she doesn't say that. She just kind of like babbles a little. Like, I didn't expect you, or I don't know, what are you doing here?
Yeah, and what's the inside of her house like?
Small, devoid of husband.
It's like a one-room cottage or
Pretty much,
something,
yeah.
cabin.
Yeah. She has a couple of kids, maybe like a set of twins, and then an older boy, the one that's like clinging to her leg. And yeah, there's like a little kitchen area, and there would be a like a table, like a little sort of pilgrim's like cottage. And yeah, there is definitely some kind of, I don't know, Dave, you can help me figure this out. What would like a little rural like place to pray look like?
Probably we've not gone in on the cross, so
Whatever the equivalent of like, yeah, the holy symbol is.
yeah, which I really need to come up with.
So you recognize it, Agatha. There is the symbol of God Almighty, who I guess
Can't see Adam.
maybe, what's that?
She's blind, can't see.
Oh, okay. You don't see that. Your familiar sees it though. We see it.
Yeah, but I'm just asking. Yeah, for my part. And so, yeah, Agatha kind of like steps out into the room and like puts out a hand, kind of searching until she like bumps. I imagine she bumps into the table. Or
Were you
whatever.
blind the last time that she saw you?
What would be better? I think yeah. I've been blind for a pretty long.
Where did you get the blind trait from? Or did you buy it with character points?
I bought it with character points,
So
but it happened a long time ago as part of a like Odin style bargain for knowledge and magic and shit.
That's how I always order my burgers at In-N-Out, Odin style.
Odin style. Some off-menu Odin style burgers. Yeah, so she kind of like feels her way over to like finds the table and then like finds a chair or a stool or whatever and sits down. Says, I appreciate you honoring our ways and permitting me to stay.
She says, speaker, these are, hush, child. And like her kid is like still like kind of doing that like whiny, like maybe I'm gonna flip out and start crying again. And she says, speaker, things are with the winter and you can see her trying to figure out a way to be like, no, you can't stay here.
And so to follow through on the mythological threat associated with me, I can hear the kid, and I think I'll just lean into the like spooky thing that Agatha does, where she just like kind of knows shit that she shouldn't be able to. You said she had twins.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, two without names here.
She like clutches her baby, like, don't talk about my kid. Get out of here. And she nods and she says, yes, but it's not the season for it, speaker. We hadn't anticipated your coming until well into the spring.
The seasons have been sundered. The cycle. I am here to mend things and also to survive. One required for the other, you see.
You hear her swallow hard, and she says, but certainly it would be better for you if The headman. Certainly, you should speak with him, and not with me. If no one knew you were coming, we couldn't all wait for you.
If people knew I were coming, then those others would be waiting.
Oh, Speaker, I don't know anything about that. Just like a flat out heinous total lie. Like, that's obviously.
I'm blind, not stupid.
I would never, Speaker. I didn't mean. I just. Times
You're
are
right,
hard.
though. You will never. You will never speak of me.
And you gonna try this shit again?
I'm gonna start with threats. And we'll coercion. We'll go to spells later.
So you're like, all right, good night, blap. So she like holds her baby, almost like we can't really tell if she's using the baby as like a shield or protecting the baby, right? Like
it's the halfway.
If the baby could speak, it would probably be like, "Mom, you're squishing me a little." Like it's like whining a little as she like clutches it a little too hard to her. And she says, "Speaker, I don't know. My husband, I would, and with the children, you see."
I understand that my staying here is conditional. I will support the house as best I am able, and I can help you. In exchange, you will help me. This is the way. Other ways will end poorly for you, no matter how you might think they will go.
All right. Let's get this. This feels like a roll. Feels like we've.
I'm persuading her to help me, and my thing is like, this will be mutually beneficial, or I will tear everything down on my way down. Like,
yeah, don't make me fail this because I'm gonna get crazy. Okay. Yeah, sure.
And so what's my ob?
Ob for persuade is her will. I would say 2, but she's like a villager and not some squishy peasant from the city. So let's
No, she's probably pretty tough. Yeah.
Yeah. She got to answer, have you given birth in the steel questions?
Oh yeah, totally. So I'm gonna be rolling persuade. I'm forking ugly truth. What other forks do I have? Would this be etiquette that I'm leaning into with the whole, because like this whole conversation is the lead in, right? Where I'm like, these are the ways that we do things. This is our cultural tradition.
I don't know if it doesn't feel like it's either etiquette or ritual, right? Like it's definitely social. Yeah. Like fuck it. Etiquette is a fancy word, but it's still this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
you could
it's
fork etiquette.
A kind of peasant's etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I think that's the stuff that makes sense.
Okay.
So I'm rolling 3 dice with 2 forks. Wish I had villager wise unlocked. And that's why we got to get there. And what does this look like if I fail, Adam?
Well, she's already waiting for an opportunity to fuck you over. You're gonna have to escalate with her. She's gonna say no. It's gonna be like, nope, we have different rules now.
Or whatever. Yeah. She'll like clutch her proverbial cross and turn the witch away. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's let the dice decide.
Okay.
Base ob 3.
Oh no.
No
right.
6s.
You don't see, but she looks to her to the symbol on the wall, whatever geometric object. And she turns to you and she says, "You cannot stay here, Speaker. I cannot have you in my home. I'm sorry."
I'm looking at my character sheet and I see this new thing I have. this delightful new trait that everyone gave me.
Yep. Want to get some corruption or?
Fuck, if I weren't wounded, I probably would have succeeded at that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like Agata's eyes, which are kind of just like blankly open, staring off into some other place, just like narrow. You do not get to say no. And she like stands up. And so one of the things I can do with spirit binding is make spooky stuff happen.
Yeah.
Just like low grade spooky shit. It's an OB1 service with no in-game mechanical effect.
Okay.
Except to say that I am creating some fiction.
And what might end up being like an advantage die to like frighten her or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Agata stands. Also, I'm using my well-traveled trait to give me a new spirit domain so that I can do this.
How does that work?
I just get to pick a domain and have it when I go to a place. But I think maybe this is still just shadows. Because yeah, I do the like standing up and the room seems to like shrink and become really close and all the shadows like
the room somehow simultaneously shrinks and the walls seem farther and farther away, like
yeah, but like I'm really close somehow. And just like loom. I think maybe Agata's like a little bit taller than her, but like seems to just kind of like suddenly tower over.
Cool.
And yeah, she just like keeps talking and says like, "You do not cross a witch of the woods. Not if you want to survive. Not if you want your children to prosper."
Okay.
I will remember, and the shadows of the wood will remember. And then she walks out. But I would like to make a roll to scare the shit out of this person.
That's fair. Yep. Totally.
So like I won't stay here, but she's gonna keep her mouth shut. Is what's up.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm either intimidation or ugly truth.
I don't think it's ugly. I don't think it's ugly truth. I think it's intimidation because you have an opinion. It's ugly opinion, right? Because she's like, God will protect me from this scary witch.
We both know that's not real, but yes, I will.
She's been alternately indoctrinated since the last time you saw her.
What a tragic waste.
Yeah, God will protect her from you.
I agree.
Monster.
God
is dead.
Hilarious.
Doesn't matter. It's
God's not protecting shit.
I mean,
become as gods.
Yeah, I mean he's dead. It's true. He's a big
Become
dead
as
guy.
gods.
However, there's still divine power in the universe. It's just leaking out of his corpse.
Or from the elder gods from beyond the stars.
So
okay, so I will roll to intimidate this lady.
Okay.
Her will is 3. So
yeah, and I think this will just
6.
straight up trigger a steel test on her behalf. Right?
Yeah.
And she'll just be standing there or whatever.
Great, and I get my advantage die.
Did you make the?
So let me roll spirit binding.
Spirit binding, yeah.
It's ob1.
Because you could somehow horrifically flub this, but no, there it is.
No aces.
Okay. All right, so you get your visual effect.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
That is not even all the dice I would be rolling. I get another like 3 dice. So just boom, yeah, that's fine.
You're fine.
And so yeah, while the looming shit is going on, the intimidation with a mod of 1 extra.
Yeah, because you have the extra die from spirit binding, from the spooky effects.
Cool.
So spoopy.
Very spooky.
It's probably not going to work.
No, it's holy
except
shit.
it is. Except it is going to work.
Wow.
Bow down.
6 successes against Ob6. You just shatter the shield of her faith to drive her into a place of atavistic fear of witches.
And here it is. Here's the thing: is that like there's this pause where I seem like I'm gonna leave, and then somehow I just know that she's like clutching something. Like I hear the rustle or whatever. And so while her back is turned, Agata just says, "That one's dead. Can't save you from me." And then the door closes from the wind, just like howling through the house.
Awesome.
And like all her like candles or fire or whatever like snuff out.
Yeah, she chooses to stand and drool, I guess. And I'm giving her a new trait. Let's see, where's her traits?
Or you could adjust the belief.
No, I'm gonna give her a trait called Fearful of Witches.
fearful of witches is a good trait. People should have this trait.
Uh-huh.
I will spread this trait throughout.
She has fearful of witches, but also like some trait about her religion, right? She doesn't have faith,
Yeah.
but she's like devoted to God. So, I mean, that's an appropriate thing for a devoted person to do, a religious person, right? Fear witches and praise God.
Yeah, and if this were like an Apocalypse World style game or whatever, I would be like, cool, and her baby is dead.
Yeah.
Like,
now, you'll have to use magic for that.
but I have to actually go and like curse her family line forever, and it's a whole complicated thing. We're just not even going to do that.
How much?
But
Let's see. How much? What's
we're just a
the
different style of
obstacle for
game.
putting the trait dead on a baby?
The trait dead.
You
Dead is
have a
not a
new
trait.
trait. It's called dead. What does it do? You're dead. Ghosty ghost.
I mean, you would kill them with 1,000 cuts, right? It would be like, I give them the trait susceptible to illness or whatever, right? Where they just like, or
wasting
sickly
away
or-
and yeah.
Or just give the woman a trait like hallucinations, and she constantly sees her children as dead in front of her.
It's true.
Yeah.
I give them the trait leprosy.
Oh my god! If she thought her kids were
Oh,
dead,
yeah,
she
leper
would
is a
bury them. Ah, that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
So anyways, we're not doing all that stuff, but she is fearful of witches.
So I mean, yeah, all of those
and my
things pass through
companion
your
terrible
mind as an
demons.
as something that might like
yeah,
be
she
options
sees
for you.
she sees a future of hardship and doom, which she could enact for this person. But yeah. So I leave. I'm gonna have to go find somewhere else.
Okay, all right.
She. Never mind.
Okay, where do you go?
So I like step out into
Yeah, we
the
follow you out into the
still
out of the wind.
And like she like listens to the wind howling and like, you know, sniffs the air a little.
You can hear the
and just-
distant. You can hear the distant rattling of your little figure, like banging against the signpost of the fence.
Oh, and like the wind and its stuff has like caused it to look like it's like a dead person hanged now.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it has this like really morbid cast to it. And yeah, Agatha just like, I think she's like picked up a walking stick along the way or whatever, so she has this little like walking stick, and she's the
I'm sorry, if
perfect
you
picture
didn't
of,
if
like,
you
an
didn't play
old crone.
pay character points for that walking stick in character creation, you can't have it.
I can't have picked up a stick.
No, you
Come
can have a
on.
stick. I don't care.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm gonna
like a
regret this
good
later when
walking
you're
stick.
like advantage die for my stick. It's fine. You're
Well,
in
if
the woods.
anything, Adam, I have one making my way in the woods. Always gather roots and herbs with my familiar, so I'm foraging along the way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she. God, like I kind of need to stay in this village, or I'm just gonna die of exposure. And she said there was like a mayor type person. There was a headman.
Headman, yeah.
Is there like a clear house that would be good for that? I'm in my familiar's eyes at this point, and Agatha is just like standing in the wind, and her familiar just like
Yeah.
suddenly runs off.
I think headman is a position. It probably translates better to like person in charge, but it's a position you live in the like main house of the village. when
Yeah,
you
and there's like a
become it.
longhouse or a hall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe what I need to do is actually like survey the village using my familiar and its observation that it has, which is listed in here. I will find it. Because I want to know where I can go that the guards won't be. Yeah, so it has a perception of G3.
Nice. It's very, very perceptive.
And so, yeah, it is like sniffing around and looking in like through the cracks in people's houses or like smelling their doorsteps and then.
And what's it
prancing
looking
along.
for?
Ideally, I want to know. So here's my big picture thing of what I am after, and you can tell me what slice of this I can achieve.
Sure.
So I want to know like where the freaking Kingsguard are, so that I can avoid them,
Yeah,
and then also like where the head person in town's house is.
Sure. The both of those are answered by the same question.
And this is what I figured. I was like, yeah, I kind of.
Their answers to it's the same question. So the headman is currently sort of a prisoner in his own home because he's entertaining the cadre of soldiers, right? The captain and his men in his own home.
A dozen
But a dozen,
soldiers.
yeah, a dozen men. And they're all in one
Light
building.
their house on fire.
They're all in one big wooden building.
Well, I don't have burn with sorcerer's fire as one of my magic types.
You should just make burn with sorcerer's fire one of your magic type.
It's
Or you could
I
just
made
give
it.
one of the soldiers the trait on fire.
Or you could learn arson.
This isn't Fate. You can't just use aspects for everything. Yeah, I have the trait on fire now. No, it's I mean, yes, you could there's lots of ways to kill a bunch of people with magic. There's tons.
You should totally kill a bunch of people with magic.
Dave, I
If we
think
scare you,
the
that.
powers that are giving you corruption might actually just be Blue Jay. I think she might be the powers of corruption. That's the
I've
big reveal.
decided
It's
that
like
I know
pretty hardcore.
Yeah. The thing with the babies and now this.
I know what my extra spirit domain is.
Okay.
It's in Hearth and Hut or Hearth and Home,
Mhm.
and it's like village house spirits. And so Agatha like remembers her life of like wandering through the countryside and being in like dozens of villages just like this one. And the crackling spirits of hearths
Yeah.
that she's communed with and stuff. And then I'm gonna make this house's spirit burn the motherfucker down.
Well, that's going to be tricky because the spirit of the house is the house itself, right? Like
Yeah, the spirit of the house doesn't exist if the house ceases to exist.
Yep,
You're asking it to.
I'm going to make it immolate itself.
Good. Fantastic.
I'm gonna make it seal its doors and immolate itself.
And you wonder why you got the vindictive trait.
Well, now I'm gonna play into it even harder.
Yeah,
so
get
thanks.
those points. All right, you vindictive monster. So you storm out of the house after you've been
Yeah,
rejected.
I've been like rejected from this village, and I'm just like, no, you don't spurn me.
Okay.
I counter spurn you, and so it's just like, okay, here's where these Kingsguard are. Here's the like authoritarian whatever of the village. Yeah,
Okay.
we're just gonna take care of that.
So where do you I assume you're going to cercinate? This is going to be a significant task.
Yeah, she's gonna go. She just like walks out into the woods a ways, to some like bleak clearing that's like snow swept and suitably metal.
Okay.
And just like in the snow itself begins to like lay out the patterns of this like baleful, horrible circle of
Yeah, it's like an inward circle of spikes because it's like I'm binding you for one last task, destroy yourself and
to destroy it, so to like seal itself and combust.
So the tasks that you can have it provide for you, I think the closest is probably harm.
Yeah.
Right? The spirit strength plus the idiomatic power. So harming with flame is power +2.
Great.
You roll the die of fate to determine the actual damage. So what you can do is you can conjure a spirit, roll the die of fate, and it'll do its power +2, like a weapon, right? We'll do it like it's a weapon.
To itself.
Well, to itself
to
and
the
everyone,
house.
to everyone in the house, basically.
And so like I'm thinking maybe like just the doors are all like suddenly like you can't open them anymore, and then the hearth fire, whatever the big like central fire is, just suddenly like goes
flares
huge
up
and-
yeah. Okay.
so that's what she's gonna try to make happen.
Okay. So this is very much the character doing this. I don't want you to read into me trying to get you to not do this. Okay. So
Yes.
you start to like prepare to draw the circle, and because you're so bonded to your familiar knows what's up.
Oh yeah.
And it gives you a look like, are you fucking serious right now? Like it sits up on a log and like whines at you and like cocks its head, and not in a like, what are you doing? I'm being a cute fox, but in a like,
it's
this
like
is bad.
reproachful. Right?
Yeah, don't do this. We can't come back from this, and so it looks at you like are we doing this? I'm bound to you. I have to follow along where you go. But I'm not happy about
I can always feel its feelings. So even though I can't see it like
Yeah.
making faces at me, she just like pauses, says, what am I to do then? Just die out here?
How can this thing communicate with you? Like, how smart do we figure it is?
Okay, so let me just look at we can inform ourselves based on both the description and its stats. So it's perception gray 3, so it is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a familiar whose spirit is linked to my own. I can see through its eyes using its perception stat. However, when using its eyes, blah, blah, blah. It does not grant low speech. However, this creature does understand its companion's wishes and will go where its master directs it to go, look at what it directs it to look at, etc. I feel its pain. So if it suffers wounds, it affects me. And then I choose its form.
Okay.
This one's telltale thing that it's magical is that it has 2 tails.
I think it can communicate emotional impressions. So the impression that you're getting from it now is worse things can happen than death, right? And you're like, well, I could go out into the woods and die. And it's like, there are worse things in the world.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Oz. Oz is the name of the familiar. And yeah, she just like kind of sits back, like she's on her knees, and she just like kind of sits back and just like shakes her head. None of them are worth my time. But I need somewhere to burrow. You understand this, don't you? And if I die, you die. And if we die, no one will stop this winter. And whatever creatures have been pulled forth to change it will continue to ruin the world.
You get the impression of a sense of, and what then? Will you burn down the castle? Will you burn down will you burn everyone who opposes you alive? Like, where does this end, right? A fire started does not so easily get extinguished. So what's the plan here?
If the burning of the castle could heat the world and end this winter, I would do it.
Yeah.
And then she just like, using this like stick that she has, like resumes drawing in the snow.
Okay.
Yeah. I think she just like steals herself and like knowing full well that this is awful and bad.
Yeah. And
right?
it watches.
And that there will be retribution.
Yeah. And it watches somewhere between like sad and curious and like worried, but bound to your fate no matter what happens anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so the fire that rings the circle that she's drawing is also like, if you look at it the right way, it's also 9 wolf tails that like spiral out from it.
Right, that look like flames and
and the spikes could be the wolf's teeth, like closing its jaws on the
So the question of power here is like, what's an average like person's mortal wound? Because if you want to kill them, you want to have a pretty good chance of mortal wounding them.
I'm not
Probably
a particularly
a B9.
Yeah, I'm not a particularly tough person, and my mortal wound is B9.
I think 9 or
My
10.
mortal wound is
Yeah,
B9.
like 9 or 10 would be the average, because to have 10, they need to have double 4s.
Yes.
In
So
fort and
so a power 7
power.
a power 7 spirit would deal 9, would be able to do a fire of B9 strength.
and it's not just the spirit of this house too. It's like all the houses in the village, like lending
Consuming
strength to
this
thing
spirit,
and like
yeah.
pressure cooking the one.
Yeah, everyone in the village's house fire goes out.
Like dims or goes out.
Yeah. So the way the harm will work basically is you'll roll a d6, and 1 to 2 it will deal a B5 wound to everyone in the house. 3 or a 4, everyone in the house will take a B9, and if you roll a 5 or a 6, everyone in the house will take a B12, and that's like burned to the bone, like
like the whole thing is
conflagration of
scorch mark.
fire. Yeah.
Any of those results seem good to
Okay,
me.
great. Yeah.
And I got a belief about this. Everyone's got a. I'm haunting this kingdom and instilling fear in people's hearts. So here we go. So she's gonna spend. So sorry. Can you remind me of the spirit's power that I'm?
It needs to be a power 7 spirit for you
Power
to get the
7
result that
spirit.
you want. Yeah.
So I'm gonna spend. 3 hours here in the fucking winter cold, cercinating.
Okay.
And so it's like by the time this happens, it's probably night, or quite dark, when it actually like goes off. And she's just working, like blind woman working in the dark, doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
Drawing this thing out. And so let's see, cercination, forking symbology, forking astrology, forking spirit-wise. So 3 forks. 2 of which I can actually include. 3 All right,
Okay.
we get it.
There you go.
I also have to roll my astrology die
Yes.
because it could explode. It could implode and
You
fuck
can
my day
implode.
up.
No,
Okay.
you're good. Okay.
So I get a +3.
Yep. You get 3
To my
extra
spirit
dice. So you've
binding.
drawn your dark circle.
Yeah, and you've
Circle
already
of
described
ash.
it with the tails that look
Yeah.
like fire. And yeah. And here we go. So spear binding with 3 from the thing, 1 from astrology, which I will roll after the fact. I'm not allowed to fork any others.
Yep.
Base ob 7.
Ooh.
This is very bad.
That's a terrible roll.
That's looking very much not like a 7.
Oh boy.
And my
it-
astrology.
Astrology.
die-
A dark fucking mark opens in the sky. Like this is you realize
Okay,
You
I know we
realize
lose a success.
you
from
lose a
astrology,
success for
but
that
it doesn't.
one.
No,
Yeah,
it
that,
doesn't keep exploding, but I lose 1.
Yes,
'Cause
you lose 1 from the one, and then if it was another one, you'd lose another one and have to reroll.
Okay,
Yeah, so you're down to
So,
1 success.
I'm at 1 success.
Yeah.
I'll just save my Artha for dealing with what comes next.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, a power 7 spirit comes to fuck my day up.
So I think this is what happens is that we see from above in the darkness, right? We can hear the dogs of the village like howling in fear. We maybe get a shot of like a dog like trying to get away, like strangling himself on a chain, trying to get away from the village as it tries to run. Livestock like fleeing or like battering themselves against the insides of their pen. Children crying and people kind of like looking around like in fear. Everyone can tell something is wrong. And we see the circle you've drawn on the ground as you're like praying or like opening up the world to the spirits to like conjure them forth. And we see slowly around the outside circle a ring of fire like spreads around you.
Yeah, because she like plants the stick like dead center in it.
Yeah,
to, like,
so the
seal it, right?
the outer ring, the outer part of the ring like begins to burn, and then 2 crossed lines of fire come across the middle, and a 5th spoke of flame extends out to the edge. And then we hear screaming in the village, and when we turn to look, the house is like collapsing in on itself, and there's like fire billowing out of it. And several of the other buildings are on fire as well. And I think we see standing at the whole village is like you've just torched the whole place. Like it's just you've really unleashed some horrible thing that has killed the spirits of the village and lit it aflame. And all we see standing like calmly amidst this chaos is a single kind of slightly oily looking black furred goat. With like deep amber eyes and like long curling horns, and it's just kind of standing in the village, like observing the fire as like one of the soldiers
like chewing
staggers
on something.
Yeah, as one of the soldiers staggers out on fire and just like collapses to the ground, his flesh boiling off of him in this hellish flame. And yeah, it's a bad scene. The whole village just like is wiped from the face of the earth. In a
yeah,
terrible
like
conflagration.
Agatha like reaches out and picks up Oz and is just like holding it close, and it's watching the like fire.
Mhm.
And she just says, "I didn't say you were wrong," as she like pets it.
Yeah, and it's
tries
just
to, like,
it's
soothe
making
it
just like
and,
a scared whining sound.
Yeah, and she's just like taking care of it, like holding it and keeping it warm. And we just like watch the village burn down.
I mean, fate point for vindictive?
Absolutely.
I will be getting many fate points for many traits.
Yeah. So this is inadvertently it's an Ob 6 corruption test just for later when we know.
Oh yeah.
Just so we know.
I'll record that now on my corruption. That's a challenging corruption.
Yep. Good work. So we have some options, right? Like this feels like it could be a good place to put a pin in the episode, right? Supernatural terror across the board. Or we can do Elisandra and Miro having their scene, but we also have to recognize we don't have like a ton of time before the episode is over. So what? Or also Joy, if you have something you want to be doing, I want to give Joy an opportunity because you've only really had one scene. So
I actually do have a plan, and
Okay.
it probably won't take us very long.
Okay, so why don't we, because there was some time while Tabitha and
Well,
and
while
Alessandra were
these
talking,
people are doing their conversation, I'm not going to be involved in that, so this could
So
happen parallel.
let's have this before the reveal of the ghost. So,
Okay.
Joy, what have you been doing this whole time while all of the nobles are here, just like cheering themselves on?
I need to talk to Soren, who I circled up.
Yeah. All right. So I think Soren has spent he did a few minutes of like handing people bread or whatever and smiling at pretty peasant girls. But you find him sitting on the like opposite side, like slightly hidden, like he's not hiding, but he's just like hoping no one will notice him over here. And he's sitting on the edge of like one of the supply sledges, and he is smoking a pipe.
So I slide up beside him in a smooth one-step kind of motion once I'm in his field of view, and like animatedly hop myself onto the supply cart next to him, and lean in towards him because I don't know that I've pissed him off yet. Like I just circled him up.
It doesn't have to be he's angry at you, but there's some reason he's not your friend.
You know what I mean, right? And so I lean in towards him and I say, what a big mess this all is. Such busyness and what would you call it? Pageantry over what should be a simple thing, really. Don't you think? Waste of time.
And he looks at you and he's like, that's a funny thing.
You-
He says, it's a funny thing to say, given your circumstances. I mean, your whole existence is predicated on charity, isn't it?
I provide a service. I like to think.
He scoffs and he says, I'm sorry, fool, but I don't think this kingdom has much use for mirth.
It is the mirthless who have the most use for mirth. I mean, if the cup is empty, then it's best time to be full, don't you think?
I'd say the cup is broken, friend, and tossed in the trash. There's no cup left at all. This place is as sour as they said it was.
It's the only place I've ever been. Don't have
He-
much to compare.
He looks at you and he's like, well, that can't possibly be true.
Contrary to popular belief, there are places within Carpathia where one can acquire people. I happen to be one of the unlucky few.
And he squints at you and he says, well, you unlucky. What, you'd rather be free to starve?
Well, I'm not unlucky now, but trust me, I was unlucky then.
And he kind of leans back and he says, right. Change in fate. Well, good for you.
I have a question for you.
And he looks at you like you've just said, knock, knock, Soren. Right? He gives this look like, oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
How do you feel about our spooky friend in black? You know the one? Speaking to him when I arrived that night, all mysterious and such.
And he kind of like looks at you a little, like kind of a little perplexed. And he's forgotten about his pipe. It's like in his hand, but he hasn't like taken a drag on it in a while. And he looks at you and he says, oh, you mean the Magus?
Mm.
He shrugs.
During this part where he's forgotten about his pipe, I would like to attempt to, in a fool-like manner, sleight of hand the pipe out of his hand and take smoke on it myself.
So you're just like, okay, yeah, sure. Make a sleight of hand. I think. No, you know what? There's no consequence here. He's not gonna be mad if you like try
He's
it
not
and
gonna
fuck
be
up.
mad,
So you just do it, and he just kind of looks at his hand like, oh, how'd that happen? And he like grins.
Yeah, like cross-legged sitting on them.
He says, that's a dangerous man to ask questions about. An even more dangerous man to make jokes on. You're not planning on committing suicide by Magus, are you?
And I hand him back the pipe and say, oh no.
He knows. He's like, that's good because, I mean, God knows you're hard on the eyes, but Some people around here think that you're entertaining.
Oh, really? Do they? I thought the cup was broken. I thought it was left on the floor and shattered in a million pieces, or whatever metaphor you used
And he
moments ago.
puts his hands out kind of like emphatically, and he says, listen, fool, there's a difference between joy, and he gestures out to the open space, which this kingdom has none of, and joy, which some of us can tolerate.
Are you one of these few that can tolerate my presence? You seem to be at least engaged in this conversation.
And he smiles at you and he says, you'll find, I think, fool, that I can tolerate quite a lot. And you hear him kind of like slurring his words. Like he might be like a little drunk.
And that was a boast, so I have to do this now.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's very easy to tolerate things when you're not thinking clearly 100% of the time that I have ever seen you.
And he looks at you and he says, did not the philosophers say that 100% of one's perception is 100% of the world entire? Ergo, I suppose, I'm just a little bit drunk all the time, aren't I? He kind of grins at you.
Oh. Fair enough.
Listen, you of all people should know that this world is an intolerable mess. You said it yourself just moments ago. We all have our ways of getting by.
You know, I do think this world is an intolerable. My tongue. This world is an intolerable mess, as you say, and there are so many things wrong with it. But there are so many things that could go so rightly and so much better in the right direction.
And he kind of like blinks at you. And he says, well, I mean, yes.
And so, I propose that you help me with something.
He kind of like gives you a look. He's like, you're not my type, fool.
What a pity.
He nods. Aye, it is at that. For you. But what? I imagine that's not why you're here having this, now that I think on it, rather indelicate conversation with me.
I would love to comment further on your drunken, presumably slobbering proposal, but not your type. Perfect. Don't have to deal with that. Moving on. What I am looking for is someone who has a problem with the Magus. Are you one of such people?
He laughs, and he says, well, you've caught yourself at a dead end, haven't you, fool? Because on the one hand, you're looking for everyone, but on the other, you'll never find a man or a woman in this kingdom who's willing to admit it.
I'm willing to admit it.
And that's why you're the fool. The Magus is dangerous. And I don't mean kick you like a dog under the table dangerous. I mean turn your soul inside out dangerous.
Oh. Even after the war in Stygia, you still think I have a soul. Lovely.
And he looks at you and he says, you have the position to make jokes about all sorts of things, fool. And he stands up and he says, but not that. Never that. And like scowls at you suddenly, like very like stern and severe.
Oh, you mean the war? I didn't really have anything prepared, but I'm sure I could think of a thing or two.
I know you have some protection here, fool, but goad me on this, and your life will not last long.
That was a boast.
It was, yeah. I have to ugly truth them now. According to my instincts. And the ugly truth will be, threaten me all you like, you would not be the first person. But will you follow through? I sincerely doubt it. And if you do, you'll find a drunken sword thrust somewhat off the mark.
what are you gonna do? Stab me. Last words of woman stabbed.
Ugly truth.
Yeah, I mean, so the ugly truth here is you're not gonna do anything about it.
Yeah, the ugly truth is loads of people threaten me. Threaten me all you want, basically. And the goal is just to bring this conversation back into reality rather than the fantasy world of threatening.
No, the goal is death wish.
Well, no, if
I
the
mean,
goal was
also that.
if the goal was that he stabs you, that's not. I mean, it's a whole other thing. But okay, so yeah, so your intent here with delivering this ugly truth is that he's a coward, right? That he talks a big game but won't do anything about it.
Well, yeah, he's a coward in this context. Like, in the court, you're not going to stab me right here in front of all these people. Like, doesn't matter what I say. You'll get angry, but you can't.
I mean, that's what the truth is, but the result of the roll is that he has to acknowledge that that's true, right?
Yeah, and like that this conversation continue in such a way that isn't just like the two of us jabbing at each other, you know?
Okay.
Okay. Ugly truths.
I think.
What's my ob here?
I think it's I don't know, 2. I want to say 2 or 3. Let me take a real quick gander at the old.
I think it's probably a 3.
It's a little more complex.
Because it's like complex political situation.
Because it's like you could if you wanted to technically, but you won't for lots of reasons. Some of which are personal, some of which are social,
and some of which are political.
Let's
in this
call
place,
it 3.
you can't stab me.
I mean, you're on dangerous. You're on thin ice there because the king at this point might not even notice.
It's true, but I'm
yeah.
still banking on it.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Is failure that I get stabbed?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's not that type. But he will cement that. It'll go from like, haha, the fool, what a goon, to like a person I have to get rid of. But it won't be through murder.
Lovely.
Certainly not directly.
Bam.
All right. So you say, what do you say? Like, let's rewind a second. So he's like,
so,
not that, never that. And then gives you the threat. And then
I say, you are not the first person to threaten me, and you will not be the last. People threaten me every day. People threaten me over lunch, dinner, a thing I said about their wife. Threaten all you want, but you won't do anything.
And he looks at you for a second as if weighing the truth of that statement. And then says, no, Joy, I won't. And he shakes his head. And you notice that he's like, it's common behavior in Stygia or in Carpathia to like walk around with a sword or like a big knife, or Reza does it all the time. Reza's got a fucking broadsword that he just like waggles around everywhere he goes. Soren has no weapons on him. And he looks at you and says, killing is a bad business, Joy. And I've done my share.
I've seen plenty. I know killing is a bad business. And I have far more problematic people to be stabbed by than you today.
And he sighs and he says, keep poking at the Magus. You'll find the grave soon enough. If you want to die, throw yourself off a tower. And he goes to say something, and then you see like he can't or doesn't. Like he just like kind of like pauses weirdly and like stares off in the distance. And he shakes his head and he says, I have nothing more to say of him. Unless you want to try to make a roll to like make him say something.
No, I'm gonna. I hop down off the cart, and look towards the crowd of gathered people, and then back at Soren.
And he's looking at you. Like you look away for a second, and when you turn back, he's looking at you. I don't know if it's a way that Joy is used to, but we can see as observers that he's seeing someone like you remind him of, or he's seeing something else in you like he's looking at you but seeing a different thing.
Yeah, and I think for Joy, the response to that is like, what?
Yeah, and so that's when, depending on how Alessandro's steel test goes at the beginning of the next episode, this might be you being interrupted by a scream. We'll see.
Good.
So tune in next time to see how Lady Alessandra Corvidae reacts to seeing her dead husband stalking towards her. And then all the other horrific business. Man, y'all are just like stomping around the world, messing shit up right now. I love it.
I'm just happy that the role I was terrified to make did not go poorly.
Right. And sometimes that's all it is just being able to be like, yes, thank God I can make this one roll.
I spent this whole game making rolls because there are so many others I've made 0 rolls in. I was like, I'm gonna roll like 800 times.
That was good. Well, and it's interesting seeing how like the pacing of this episode felt pretty similar to the other ones, but we're getting better at being like, make a test, move on, do the thing, make another test. Let's see what happens. Make some tests.
Our tests come out quicker, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, today at least they did.
Yeah.
And also the like coming to an end to like the trait vote really did a good job of refocusing us on like what are we actually trying to do and shaking up the context of it, which I think helped a lot. Like I feel a lot more clear cut.
Yeah, I spent a fair bit of time between.
I really don't, but like
I spent a fair bit of. Well, your character has always been like sort of pulled in various directions, right? Like it's,
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with this.
She's a person who has never been given the opportunity to want anything. But you got that poison game going. I'm really excited about when you go and like see what you can find in the apothecary's laboratory because that's going to be much easier to scavenge.
Next.
Yeah, no, that was good stuff. So yeah, I was just gonna say I took some time in between games to really like I went back and I reread all the kind of GMing stuff for Burning Wheel and started to think about how like you really have to kind of like play, and I mean go figure, you play every game according to the way that the GM stuff is written in it, but it's hard after playing so much Apocalypse World type stuff where if it's not related to a character's like belief or something, I need to just like let it go. Just be like, cool. Either if I'm interested in it, pull it back and hook it to a belief, or be like, it doesn't matter. Which I think is going to help all of us like kind of pull all the characters.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed how today went.
Yeah,
like
this is the first one where the extra hour felt like we really like did something with it. Not that we wasted it before, but like having it felt like it helped the pacing work.
Yeah,
which is
a little bit.
Cool. Let's do some Artha. Elf, why don't you start?
Sure. Let me kick it off. Let me see here what we got. So getting my hands on a proper weapon, I tried. So I think fate there because I rolled lots of dice. Didn't do anything with the Magus. Didn't go to see Agata, but that's gonna be a great scene. I'm really looking forward to going to the woods and finding the spooky witch.
Yeah.
Ugly Truth. Ugly Truth got me in trouble, so that was a roll at the end there. So I get fate for that. I think that's 2
for hold on, for which?
For confront every boast with an ugly truth.
Oh,
which
yes.
just like makes me roll shit all the time.
It just makes sure that you play your character because otherwise you have to actively not do it.
So 2, and then any of the traits come up. No.
Okay. All right. So you got what's your total for fate now?
It's currently, what are we at? I think 7.
I was gonna say I think my count is 7. So okay.
Yeah, 7.
Okay.
And then 1 persona.
Yep, 7 to 1. Perfect. All right, Agatha.
Okay. It is my duty to preserve the natural order and end this cursed winter, but I cannot do it alone. I'll return to the Covenants and find my sisters.
Tried.
Weirdly, I worked towards this one, yeah, and like, especially the first bit of like, I cannot do it alone, where I actually like went to try to get help from people and then burn their village down. But we'll get to that.
What's funny is that your failure will actually serve that in like probably some witches are going to be like, yo, what's with this like lantern of souls that has ignited in the forest? Let's go check that out. Oh, hi, Agatha. Is this you? Is this your thing?
Did you do this?
You do this?
Is this your thing?
We need to talk. Continue.
Winter claims the weak and the foolish. I will make sure I have a decent shelter to last the season. This one I actually ended up playing against at the end, where I was just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna start burning shit down. Like it actually
True.
within this one episode, it went on this whole arc of like, I'm gonna find a place to stay. I'm gonna find a place to stay. And I was so keen on making this one happen.
Yeah.
And I kept getting fucked.
Yeah.
And so finally she was just like, okay then, no, whatever. Winter doesn't hold any fear for me. I'll just burn shit down and leave.
Yeah. But fate still, so.
Yeah, if it had been going on longer, I would push for Persona for input.
You can keep it and keep working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do still actually want to do
I mean, you could rename it like Winter Claims the Weak and the Foolish. I will build a palace out of ashes. Like, you know,
Yep.
that's a whole other. I will conjure a castle of the
warm
damned.
myself by the fire of
That's right. I will wed
destruction
myself
and
to
death.
Satan himself, and we will fuck this split up. So anyway, keep going.
and then my last belief of the kingdom withers in winter and creates opportunities for the woods. I will haunt this kingdom and frighten the common folk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're doing it. And this one is like Alessandra's first one in that haunting and frightening you can just do every session. It's going to be very hard to be like, well, you did it. You've frightened all the common folk.
Just wait till next session when I do another ludicrously oversized spirit binding or something.
that's great.
Yeah, we'll get the jams happening. I mean, I feel like I played too. So never put something back in the wrong place almost got me in trouble. But anyways, when making my way in the woods, always gather roots and find familiar also helped. Yeah, all my instincts were good.
Yep.
They helped. Which of these traits would you like to?
I mean, I think
emphasize?
vindictive is the trait fate point here. Like, you didn't have to do any of the horrible shit that you did at the end, but you did because you were vindictive, right? I felt like that's what that was about. It wasn't even like I'm punishing you for, like, if you were punishing the girl for casting you out, you'd have just burned her house down. And if it was like I'm killing my enemies because they're my enemies, that would be different. But like this was just indiscriminate like torching, and it felt like, well, it felt like at the end,
these people, I will burn their house down.
Yeah, and it felt like at the end you were fine with the results. You were just like horrible shit, and everyone in town burned, and like fine. What's the next thing?
If that's how it has to be, fine.
Yeah, I dig it. All right. You are a terror.
What about spooky?
I feel like there's an argument for misunderstood, spooky, or inscrutable.
I think one for traits. Like that was the trait that was the most relevant, and I don't know that the others jumped out enough to be also that significant. Yeah.
I guess it was all in
Vindictive
one.
definitely took the lead.
Yeah,
I mean, you get a new thing, you gotta take it for a test ride, you know?
Yeah, totally. Well, and that's the thing, right? You can just be like, you see what happens? You see what happens, chat, when you make me vindictive?
I already did. I said that in chat. I was just like,
you
guys voted for vindictive.
Yeah.
And now I'm playing to try to earn driven.
Well,
it's like
playing Apocalypse World when someone flags your hard and then you end up beating them up in the episode and they're like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "You flagged me. You made me do this. I want that point."
You made me like this.
You do see how this is all your fault, don't you?
The Lady Alessandra.
I obviously deserve the throne of Carpathia.
Yes, all of your action in this episode was a bid for the throne.
Fate. I didn't do much with Reza. Would you say that I am successfully up in the Queen Circle? I would say like half of that, because the next thing is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you, I think we'll give you the persuasion. You can write out the second part, but yeah, like I'll ingratiate myself with the circle versus like I will join their inner circle. But either way, there was a test and you did the thing, and yeah, I think Persona is reasonable there.
Okay, so one Persona,
Yep.
and I will figure out what the next thing there is.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet like really any new people. There was not any violence yet. Gossip didn't complicate anything. It actually probably helped me with Tabitha. Well, that wasn't gossip. That was just knowledge, but whatever, same diff. I don't think nothing really got fucked up this session. I mean, I played into the idea of like setting the scene with well-dressed and stuff, but that wasn't like a complicated...
It was justification for you to have an advantage over, like, to put yourself in a good place. Your traits helped you.
Yeah, it wasn't like... And it specifically has to be fuck stuff up, right?
Yeah. Well, or just like takes it in an unexpected or interesting direction. And I think that in this case, it was interesting, but it wasn't unexpected. It was like, of course, Alessandra knows how to dress. right?
Yeah, I don't think any of that. So just one fate and one persona then.
Sounds good. Gotta have those persona. Brother Miro, old kooky, stab yourself, kind of stabbed by a ghost. You're a mess, and I love it. I'm scared of Miro and Agatha, but Miro, like, get away from me, please. You're horrifying.
He's a good boy.
Let's reward you for being such a good horrifying monster.
Okay. Beliefs I played towards. The ghost of Lord Gavril's forced sword and such. I'll banish him from the land of living. I tried. He stabbed me.
Yes, yeah. Just because you lost doesn't mean you didn't try. So you threatened to get rid of him, and then he stabbed you.
Yep. I think I didn't really get an opportunity to do the scriptures stuff. We nodded towards it, but there was no actions or rolls.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of beliefs and instincts, you're probably covered. I would go with Demented if you want to, if there's a trait here, because like I feel like this session was quite a good one to get an idea around, like, and I was sort of trying to push on that side of Miro, that like Miro is like actually demented, like he actually has things wrong with his brain, and I was through Oswald trying to kind of like help play that up. And I thought you were bringing it. I thought you did a great job. I would nominate definitely. That one for a fate point. Okay.
I'll take the fate for that.
Cool.
But yeah, I think that's it for today. Methanic hasn't got me. It's very trouble adjacent.
Yes.
You are announcing future badness consistently, but
until it's time to take your step up as the Messiah, right, and be like, I am the chosen of God. Bow before me. Time to pull the trigger on that being a hocus thing. Cool. Okay. So mark your corruption and steal if you had any of them throughout, and
Adam,
we'll go from there. Yeah.
For the purposes of steal,
yes.
Is that black goat? Is that a demon? Is that like a greater demon or something? Did I let slip into the world?
It didn't reveal itself or its true nature as such, so it's just a creepy goat for now. But
okay.
Oh yeah, creepy goat.
Keep an eye out for that goat. Like, it could very easily have just been a goat that escaped from the pen before it was burned to death and just didn't have the sense to run away. Obviously, like, the soundtrack and the framing of the shot would indicate otherwise, but like, yeah, we don't know.
And then my steal test will be next.
We'll do it next time. Yeah, you'll have to actually make one because you're being faced.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this is a whole out damn spot situation for you potentially.
Do we think there is one of the passive corruption tests somewhere? I can't work out what it would be on the list, but having my body physically possessed by a ghost and making it stab myself, I feel like it's probably
steal, but not corruption.
Right,
because it's the loss of agency, and like, yeah, it's a steal test for sure.
Okay, yeah, good call.
Yeah, find the one for like if you had stabbed someone and bump it up by 1 level.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Thanks everybody. Welcome back to the terror and the burning of things and the politics. I'm really excited about this next bit, and it's always fun to get back and play.
I, for one, am not excited to run screaming from my dead husband, but that's fine.
So excited.
You could faint instead.
You could faint instead.
Because I killed that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh, I hope you see him too.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's say goodbye till tomorrow. Elf, would you like to begin?
Well, of course. Hello, everyone. I am Distracted Elf. You can find me at twitch.tv/DistractedElf or on Twitter at DistractedElf, where I try not to poke bears that will stab me, but often do.
Stab bears. I'm going to come into your channel and I'm just going to start boasting about things.
And then I'll have to ugly truth you into submission.
Ooh, dangerous. I feel like, though, as a streamer, ugly truth is also a skill that you have. I've seen you ugly truth some fools. So congratulations on that. Yeah. Andrew, the soon-to-be world traveler.
Yeah, I'm Andrew. I travel the world in search of solace, and respite from Adam's constant fuckery. you can find me on Twitter at Commuting Crow or on twitch.tv/actualfactual. I have a tabletop role-playing game that I make called Girl by Moonlight, which is a magical girl hack of Blades in the Dark. It's pretty great. You should check that out too.
Super cool. Dave?
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming and watching and stuff. It was great to have folks in chat, super engaged and stuff. So thank you for that. If you would like to follow me on the Twitter, you can at Dave_the_human. Nothing super exciting happening over there at the moment, unfortunately. But tell you what is exciting. I'm pretty sure that steel test just advanced me to 7.
Yes.
Welcome to Steel 7. I'm almost at Steel 8.
Yeah.
All I need to witness is like orbital bombardments or some other crazy stuff.
Yeah, pretty great. So yeah, and come watch D&D tomorrow as well, because that campaign is really fun so far. Come do that.
Excellent. Thank you. And last but not least, the someday soon to be queen, or maybe corpse, whichever. Lady Alessandra, Blue Jay.
Hi, I'm Blue Jay. I'm not actually charitable, but you can be charitable towards me on twitch.tv/BlueJay or on Twitter at BlueJay_712.
Come on over and just why don't you make an OB1 resource test? It's fine. It's an easy test to make.
You know what we said in Burning Wheel, the more
those written
resource tests you make.
That's right.
the
You want to
better
advance your resources, don't
I'm
you?
trying to help you.
Oh my god, that's great. I love it. Yeah, good segue. Interesting stuff. Yeah, so if you can't get enough of these nerds, which I know you can't, come on back tomorrow. We will be hosting our weekly Dungeons & Dragons game. It's going to be live at twitch.tv/DND and hosted right here, and then also on the channels of all these lovely people, so you can check it out pretty much wherever you want. That's at 2 o'clock Pacific. We're playing Tomb of Annihilation. I am having just like a great time with that adventure, and I hope that you will come and check it out with us. You can find me at twitch.tv/AdamKoble or on Twitter at Skinny Ghost. And we will be back tomorrow. And then I'm back again Saturday evening. The Roll20 esports team has never played a role-playing game before. And it falls on me and award-winning tabletop role-playing game Dungeon World to teach them. And it's going to be ridiculous and awesome. And I